In May 2009, 2 weeks before graduation, Tommy Mallon was playing in his final lacrosse game at Santa Fe Christian High School in Solana Beach. At one point, Mallon and an opposing player went for a ground ball. They smashed into each other, and Mallon went down. Luckily, the school had an athletic trainer on the sidelines. As she kneeled over him, Mallon told her he couldn't feel the back of his neck. She had someone call 911.
I had broken my neck in 3 places, so if I'd gotten up, I could have severed my spinal cord, and all my doctors either told me that I would have died or at least been a quadriplegic.
The National Athletic Trainers Association says every year, sports injuries put about 30,000 high school athletes in the hospital. Even so, only about 4 out of 10 high schools nationwide have access to an athletic trainer.
2 and 3, listen loud.
5, 6, 7, and 8.
That's the impetus for a new program called Athletes Saving Athletes. It aims to teach high school students who play sports some rudimentary skills that could help save a teammate's life. Tommy Mallon's mom, Beth, launched it through her foundation, Advocates for Injured Athletes. She started it after Tommy's injury. Mallon says there just aren't enough athletic trainers at local high schools.
We're not trying to train athletes to take the position of an athletic trainer, but what we're training them to do is what an emergency situation looks like and what you might be able to do as an athlete.
That includes teaching students how to perform CPR, how to recognize some of the signs of heat stroke, and the importance of not moving an athlete that may have suffered a back or spinal injury.
They learn plays, they're in AP courses, they're smart kids. They've just never been given this knowledge. They just assume that there's a supervising adult out there that's going to take care of them, and that's not always the case.
But why aren't there athletic trainers or medical personnel at each school sporting event? For answers, we turn to Jerry Schneep. He heads up the regional chapter of the California Interscholastic Federation, the group that oversees high school athletics.
But there's not a standard for medical personnel throughout the state. And to be honest, I think the reason is that there are different levels of financial ability to pay for those kind of people in different school districts.
Schneep explains each school district sets its own policy. Schneep says ideally, all high schools should have an athletic trainer on staff. But given the financial challenges districts face, it's not practical.
And when you're having to make decisions of a trainer for a 1:30 practice or a full-time teacher to help students learn how to read, it's a tough call for our people who make those decisions.
Dr. Sean Evans sees a lot of high school sports injuries in his emergency room at Scripps Hospital in La Jolla. Dr. Evans says given schools' financial problems, it makes sense to train young athletes to be first responders.
You can get a group of 5-year-olds, kindergartners, to understand the use of an AED and save someone's life in 10 to 15 minutes of training. We can certainly do it with high school seniors. And ultimately around concussion awareness, that's a fundamental skill I'd love for everybody in the public to have. And sadly enough, when most people get that knowledge is after they've had the concussion. So why not before?
That's the philosophy behind the Athletes Saving Athletes program. Britton Sutphin is alive today because a high school teammate pulled her out of the water when she passed out during a swim practice. Sutphin's heart had stopped. It was only because the community pool had an AED that lifeguards were able to revive her. She has a quick response to those who say schools have bigger priorities than sports safety.
It's your kid's life that's at stake, and I think every parent wants to know that their athlete is competing in a safe environment where action can be taken if needed, and I think that's more important than some of those other things.